Joe. How's it going? If you want to hear a good story, I think I got a decent story to give. So, they sent me to prison over child support, and in Oklahoma, if their rearage is over $5,000, they call that omitting to provide, which is a felony, and then they send you to prison for that, and then they make $76,000 a year for the federal government to keep you locked up. So they're actually doing it to make money. In the state of Oklahoma, prison is a big source of income. Anyway, so the flip side of that is, when they send you to prison, in my case, well, in everybody's case, you go to this place and they do an assessment. They call it A&R, and they assign you a security detail. Like, some of it's like how old you are you gang related, this, that, and the other. And it doesn't really, a little bit what your charges are, but not really. It's more an assessment to see how violent you are, and that assigns you to which prison you go to. So the medium yard is the toughest one, because the medium, you got freedom. The maximum, you're locked up all the time, so you don't interact with other prisoners. And then, like, the minimum, everybody's trying to go home, you know what I mean? And then you got the work centers after that. Okay? So they gave me my assessment or whatever, and they sent me out to Beaver, Oklahoma to a work center. And, because I mean, you know, like, I'm old enough to be mature enough to not fight over next to nothing. And then, like, it's freaking child support. Like, that's non-violent. Like, I'm certified non-violent. So they sent me out there, and they made me, I worked at they'll send you out to work, right? And when I first got there, like, I remodeled the whole building. And then I worked for a while at the golf course, a little bit for the city of Oregon. And then, because I had been there long enough, I was able to do the work center thing, where you go out and get a job, and then they keep half the money. So they make you work for $7 a month for a year or so, and then you can go get a job, and then they let you keep like $50 for a while, and then you can get $75 that you can keep. But you can just sign a piece of paper and just go to work. And then when you get off work, you come back and you sign a piece of paper saying that you came back, which is ridiculous. Other than that, you're just like a normal person. So, but it's slave labor is what it is. Like, they make you go work and you're just like, anyway, I was working at the city of Oregon, so they take us up there in a bus and drop us off, right? And it's predominantly black people locked up. There's some Indians, not really, a little bit. They tend to put them with the violence, because they will not put up with a lot. They don't know how to play the game as good. Anyway, and then a lot of people, like, they've done like 10, 15 years in prison, then they work their way down in security. So where I went, everybody was like trying to not mess it up so they could go home. Anyway, we go up there to Oregon City, and there's probably about 13 of us, I guess. Anyway, I just drove past the animal shelter in Pryor, Oklahoma, and then reminded me of this. So we go out there and everything, and they had all these. We would go out and feed the dogs in the pound, and then we do various projects, water and a lot of ditch digging and stuff like that. And we go out there and they say, well, we got to put these dogs down. And the way they did it out there was we loaded all these dogs, and then we took them out to this old farm, and there was a silo out there, and we put all the dogs inside there, and they had a pipe coming out the wall, and we hooked the exhaust of the truck to the pipe. Start the truck, let it idle, whatever else like that. We go out to the field, start digging a hole to bury these dogs. And that's the way they put them down. Because, that carbon monoxide, you just go to sleep and never wake up, so... we were killing the dogs is what we were doing, putting them down. And so we go out there, we dig this big ass hole and everything, and everybody's just sad. They're just so sad and moping around, and oh god, it was like one of the worst days ever. And so we go and open the door, leave it open, let the air get in there, wherever else like that. There's just dead dogs everywhere. And we start picking them up, we're carrying them out, and we're just throwing them in the back of this pickup. It's like a whole pickup bed full of dogs. I don't know, 40 dogs probably. And a big little, and like everybody's like trying to be tough, you know what I mean? So like, but you see a couple people, they're like, wiping tears and everything like that. It was bad. It was bad. Anyway, so we drive out there and everything like that. And there's like one cop and the other guys that work for the city kind of just they would just call somebody, hey, so and so run off or whatever. I guess they wasn't going to actually do nothing. And then the one cop, he had the authority to shoot you if you start getting rowdy or whatever, you know what I mean? So, and of course, everybody's certified non-violent at this point, and they're not even trying to do anything but go home. So anyway, we get over there. We got this big old pit dug out with this backhoe. We start throwing these dogs in there, and by now, guys they're crying, they're bawling, and they're just because you throw the dog out there, you can't kind of do that a little bit because they're getting dead. And, they're just like real limp in the neck and everything. And I mean, it's like everybody's starting to lose it, right? Even the dudes that are tough are like, they're starting to lose it because everybody else is losing it, right? It was just like, it was bad. Anyway, we get the truck unloaded and we get on this deal. I'm standing over there. I got a shovel, and I'm standing there leaning on the shovel, working for the city. You gotta lean on the shovel. Anyway, they start pushing the dirt off in this hole. And apparently we did not leave them dogs in there long enough for them to actually die. So these dogs started waking up, like as we're dumping the dirt on there, and they get another scoop and dumping the dirt, and then like fucking dog heads, they start coming up and they're loopy and drunk or whatever, and they just start running everywhere. And oh man, and there's a lot of superstition and stuff out there. People tell you stories or whatever like that. And these guys, about half of these dudes, freak out. Like they think it's Night of the Living Dead. They don't realize that these dogs weren't dead. They thought these dogs were dead and coming back to life. So I mean, the dogs are scattering, the dudes are scattering, and I start laughing because I know I'm like, oh shit, they're waking up. They're not dead. And I was feeling sad. I was like, got this surge of hope. I'm like, fuck yeah, man. And so dogs are scattering, dudes are scattering, and it's just real flat out there. It's the Panhandle of Oklahoma, right? So I mean, like, if you break and run, like somebody could pick you off with a 30-30 at a mile probably, because like you can clearly see the guy. He's like right there. So if you got the right rifle, the optics where you can dial it in. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just flat, open land out there. And I looked at that cop. I said, well, you think we ought to round him up? No, he asked me that. He said, you think who? Somebody else asked it. But I said, just let him go, man. Just let him go. And I was talking about the dogs. And then the dude's like, no, the guys. I said, oh, don't worry about that. They'll go back. I said, they'll go back. I said, even if you can't find them, they're going to go back to the unit. they're all trying to go home. And cause there's like 5 of us just standing there. We're just talking about it, you know what I mean? Because like we're mature men, so we're just like, don't worry about it. They've been through enough. Let them run. They've been through enough today. And sure enough, one by one, they all turned back in. We drove out there in the field, picked up about 3 of them guys, and 2 of them actually ran back to the unit at about 11 miles. And they're just freaked out, you know what I mean? They're just like, and that's the closest I ever got to the zombie apocalypse right there. So.